so we're going to get started.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am. Lady.
Girl. Female. Welcome to the Remnant by Reclaim 611. I am Paula.
And I'm Gary.
And January is Human Trafficking Awareness Month. So this month we are highlighting everything, all things human trafficking, even though the podcast is focused on all things human trafficking. But January, we are doing a special push. And today, we have a very, very special guest. We have a very special guest. And I'm not going to say her name wrong. I'm going to get it right the first time. We have Abby Germer, the Executive Director for Refuge for Women. Thank you, Abby, for joining us this morning.
We're so excited to have you.
Yeah, I'm excited to be here.
That's great. Carrie usually has a story for every guest, but today she doesn't have a story.
I don't have a major story. No, and actually I was kind of hoping Abby might be able to help my poor pregnant brain out because I think you reached out to me at one point and we did a lecture, right?
Together with the Denton County Health Department.
That's what it was.
Yep,
okay, I couldn't remember who the audience was.
Yeah.
And that's how I met Abby. And then ever since, she's just like such a delight. And I love what she does. And so I was excited to see her face again. And we get to have her in the studio tonight, guys. So that's even better.
Yep. So awesome. Again, thank you, Abby Germer. She is the Executive Director for Refuge for Women. Abby, can you tell the listeners a little bit about yourself?
About myself, well, I am originally from Ohio. Have to throw that in there because we lost the national champion last night, but that's okay. But I have basically been raised in Texas, in the North Texas area, and so I've been married to my husband. It'll be 20 years this year.
Awesome.
I have two daughters. One's a freshman in college, and one's a freshman in high school. And we reside in the North Texas area, so my roots were planted here deep, and the Lord has definitely kept us here for a reason. So
awesome. So what led you to Refuge for Women?
Well, back, as these are always really long stories, right?
It's okay.
So
Okay, we like
We
it.
have time.
Yeah.
back in 2009, I went on my first mission trip to India, and my husband and I went overseas to help a local church start a support group along the lines of Celebrate Recovery. My husband and I have a personal testimony of before Jesus and after Jesus, and we found a lot of healing and redemption through the Celebrate Recovery program, and so we went to a local church in India to help them start their own CR. And while I was there, I met a group of ladies who were from the red light district out in India, and they were my group of women to lead through that training that week.
So you say red light district. Can you explain to the listeners what is a red light district?
Yes, so a red light district is basically over in India or in any part of town, when you hear that term, it is a section of town, maybe multiple buildings, where prostitution and trafficking is very highly concentrated. Okay. Oftentimes people will just go to those areas for that specific reason to purchase sex.
Like on vacation or
correct,
just for travel.
Right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And so the group of ladies that I was leading or training through that experience were daughters of women who were either still in the red light district overseas or they had not made it out alive. And this organization provided services and higher education and opportunities for that generational cycle to be broken. And so that's how I originally learned about trafficking. And I spent a lot of time, probably 4 or 5 years traveling overseas, doing women's conferences, coming back over here, raising awareness, raising money. But then the Lord started to show me that we have a problem here in the United States. I think a lot of people think this happens in third world countries, but that's not true information. We actually have a huge problem right here in our own backyard. Mm-hmm. And so fast forward, started opening my eyes. We have a problem here that God really made some connections as only He can do when I was really wanting to look at spending my resources and time and effort in our own country. Not that there's anything bad about going overseas. Everybody's called to different things. And so through a series of events, I came across Refuge for Women. I always knew my heart was in the long-term restoration process and that's what Refuge for Women provides. And I could not find an organization locally that was providing that residential healing experience for survivors. There's a lot of really great outreach that's not really my personality, and so came across Refuge in 2015, and that's when the journey started. So,
wow, that's so cool. And how long has Refuge for Women been around?
we've actually been around as a national organization. We started in 2009, and so we've been around for 12 years, if I'm doing the math correctly.
That's good.
Yeah, I'm doing.
That is correct. Awesome. I love that story. So I was gathering information about Refuge for Women, and I noticed that you all have 3 phases.
Correct.
3 phases, and the first phase is the healing phase.
Correct.
And I'm sure that is probably the hardest thing.
It definitely is.
So tell us a little bit about that.
So the first phase that you're referring to is our healing phase, and it's about 6 to 7 months long. And so when we get a new resident into our program, they really come to us making a minimum of a 9-month commitment. You know, we are totally after that restoration, long-term success. And so for the first 6 to 7 months, they are really focused on themselves. We're trying to reset mindsets. They are going to a licensed professional counselor once a week. We have group counseling once a week. They work through over 20 books of curriculum on boundaries, codependency, substance abuse. A lot of our residents do struggle with substance abuse, and so they have to attend a certain number of support group meetings a week. They have to exercise 3 hours a week, and we really try to put them on a life schedule. Their job Monday through Friday from 8 to 4 is to work the program. And we have, you know, this book, for this many chapters, this teacher comes in, and that is their schedule. And then, you know, the evenings and the weekends is when they go to either, you know, we have volunteers come do the workout classes, or they go to their support group meetings. But they are very, very busy.
No idle time.
None.
So this is a facility?
Yes, we live in a home.
Okay, a home.
So we are residential.
Okay.
We never have more than 6 residents in our house at one time.
Okay.
So we focus on relationship and intentionality. We get to know each other really well.
Yes, yes. What are some? What's one of the biggest challenges you faced in the healing process? Maybe you don't have to tell us about a particular person, but maybe about a scenario or something that happened.
Right. I think the hardest part of that when they first come into our program is establishing trust. They have been used and abused and manipulated for so long that it really takes us a good solid, we call it when the honeymoon phase wears off, a good solid 2 to 3 months for them to even begin to believe us and trust us when the same people show up when they say they're going to show up, and the services are, you know, what we do, what we say we're going to do, and we follow through with what we say we're going to follow through with. And so I would say the foundation of trust is definitely a slow process. And then another thing is that we're a residential facility with all these beautiful women learning how to have healthy relationships with each other that don't necessarily know. So it gets a little spicy around there sometimes.
Too much estrogen in the house can be
yeah.
can
But
be
you
a
know,
lot.
and you got to build down the walls because they come from different backgrounds and scenarios, and so we have to fight against that street mentality or a trafficking ring mentality. That we're all on the same playing field around here. So, but that's where the beauty of the sisterhood forms with them, that they become lifelong, even post-graduation accountability partners and friends. That's beautiful.
I should have asked this question first. How are they referred to the program?
Yeah.
I was thinking that.
Well, I mean, honestly, through places like Reclaim 611, you know, they're on the front lines of identifying survivors as they come in through emergency room situations. We have collaborative relationships with law enforcement, frontline ministries, people who might go into the jail and do outreaches and help identify victims of trafficking. And so our residents are both local and from all over the United States.
Okay.
And then the beauty of being a national organization is that if we assist with a local survivor that has been identified or recovered, if it's not safe for them to stay in this area, we're able to safely get them to another location and then
So
vice
cool.
versa. Yeah.
So nice.
Yeah, it's awesome.
So just for listeners, I mean, I'm sure we could look it up, but where else are you? What other states are you guys located in?
I got this down. So we're in 6 states, 7 different locations.
Oh,
and
wow.
because Texas is so beautifully big, we actually have 2 locations in Texas. So we have our North Texas location, and then we're opening up a house and taking our first residents in February down off Texas Gulf Coast.
Okay.
And
Oh.
then we have a location open in Las Vegas, Chicago, Kentucky, Pittsburgh, and then Southern California. But we started in Kentucky. Kentucky's
Oh.
home base.
Okay. I would have never thought Kentucky
Yeah.
to be home base.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, that's awesome. So they go from healing, and like you said, it takes about 2 or 3 months before they even believe the words that are coming out of your mouth.
Right.
Before they even let you all come in, like before that wall is let down. So then after phase 1, there's phase 2, which is life skills and employment. So does that mean they aren't working during phase 1?
Well, actually, I'm really glad you asked that question because prior to COVID, in phase 1 at our North Texas location, part of the requirements is they had to volunteer 3 hours a week, like give back to the community. But when COVID hit, we had 2 residents that were going into phase 2, that life skills and employment section, and we were not interested in sending them out into the community to work, given the dynamics of, we're staffed 24/7 and, a residential home. So we got super creative and we launched a social enterprise, and we are making these beautiful leather handcrafted
I think I saw this on
survivor
social
made
media.
handbags. And so now our residents start working once they've been in our program for 30 days, and they will work 4 hours a week till they hit that phase 2 mark, and then we'll start increasing their hours and or allowing them to start looking out in the community for other job opportunities. So it is a new venture. We started selling our bags in October, and we've sold over 100 of them so far, and they're all over the United States.
Okay, so for those that are on YouTube, you should
Yep.
pull. Yeah, let's see it again. That is really
It
cute.
is so beautiful. It has
is.
this outside pocket.
It's kind of distressed brown
We got
leather.
an inside pocket that you can, put your handy dandy stuff in, and so it really has been awesome. Our residents
so
love
awesome.
it, and so they're starting to make money. But really, when they get to phase 2, the goal is to start a continuing education, higher education, complete a GED. Like we have a resident that's graduating in a couple weeks, next Thursday, I think.
Awesome.
But she completed a certification at a local junior college in phase 2, and she got certified in medical billing and coding, actually. And so her heart
So
is to
great.
go on to work in a doctor's office. So it just depends on the individual. We try to really individualize our services to the stages of life or the giftings or who God's created that woman to be.
Awesome.
Well, I don't know about you, but I need a new purse.
Yeah.
For all of you that aren't watching on YouTube, you need a new purse too.
Yeah. It has been fun. They design them and rivet them by hand and everything. It's been
They are
amazing.
so cute. That is so cute.
So where can we purchase the
Yeah.
purses?
Yes.
Purses?
So if you go to our website, www.rfwntx.org, on our homepage there, you will see a link to our Survivor Made store, and then that'll take you. There's candles, earrings, and handbags.
Candles.
And this is all since COVID.
Well,
Candles.
yeah.
I saw your, Paula perked up over there.
Do you like candles?
I love candles.
Oh, you might have to get you some. Our Kentucky location does the candles.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
And so North Texas and Kentucky are spearheading this survivor-made venture, but eventually all of our locations will be able to provide social enterprise job opportunities for our residents. So
I love it.
Yeah, it's awesome.
So awesome. So phase 1 is about 6 to 7 months.
yep.
Phase 2, how long is phase 2?
So phase 2 is 3 months. So the goal is to have them graduated our program portion at 9 to 12 months.
Okay.
You know, again, focusing on the individual. Some come in and they're like rip roaring ready to go, and others we have to really be slow and steady wins the race. And so, so that takes a total between 9 and 12 months for them to complete the program portion. And upon graduation, we do have a transitional living house that we consider phase 3 that they can move into for an additional 12 to 18 months and learn how to live independently. We do not have 24-hour staff there.
Okay.
They have to work and or go to school a minimum of 30 hours a week. And then we do focus on life skills, budgeting, paying a phone bill. We work on driver's license and allowing them to get themselves to their doctor's appointment, to work, to school, to whatever it is their commitments are.
Wow. Is this kind of new?
Yep, we actually opened that second home in 2020 as well. So we launched the bags and opened the transitional living house. We just saw that we had a gap in our services, to be completely honest, and we, 9 months isn't long enough. And so they can graduate, move in here 12 to 18 months. And every graduate we've had since we've opened this house have moved into transitional living, and it's been the best.
I mean, coming out of so much trauma, 9 months is really, like you said, it's really nothing.
Yeah.
It's like just that. It's the first phase, which is what your phase is, right?
Yeah.
It's the beginning of learning how to integrate back into society and take on responsibilities, and I can't imagine. So I'm so glad you guys have that now. And 2020, I mean, 2020 was rough, but you guys have a lot booming stuff going on.
Right. So I want to ask this. Do the counseling services follow them throughout the phases, even in phase 3?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, they have to go to counseling. I mean, as they progress towards like the end of the program and moving into transitional living, it might not be every week.
Okay.
We might start cutting back, but again, that's, the counselors that we use are absolutely amazing, and we really trust their lead on where they are as well. So, but yeah, we can have them up for 2 years. So they come in, program, graduate, stay in transitional living, and that gives us a continuum of care for 2 years.
What are some of the jobs? I know you said one was certified in medical coding and billing. What are some other jobs that some of the survivors have acquired?
Yep. So we actually have another graduate who we have hired full-time with Survivor Made, and we've trained her on our sewing machine. And so she is our queen of sew, is what we call her. And so she is a full-time Survivor Made employee. Another resident is getting through this Survivor Made process. She realized that she really likes numbers, which is not, it's a gift from the Lord. It's not for me. She's like, I love it when we get a 0. I'm like, I'm good when it's close enough, So she's getting certified in QuickBooks right now, and she does all of our inventory and keeps up with our data on the website, and she developed our whole logistics system of shipping and receiving and ordering and all of that. So it's just really neat to see their gifts blossom and find what they're good at,
So how do they feel when they finally find what they're good at, which does not consist of an exchange of services?
Exactly.
How do they feel when they discover, wow, I'm good at this?
I think the word that I would use is empowered.
Okay.
Like just this huge revelation that they have something to offer this world. And I just think you see when that light turns on in their hearts, that they were created for something good, they're unstoppable at that point. I mean, they're still nervous and scared, but I just think when they can start, again, losing that street mentality or not living under the lies that they've believed for so long, to see that Carrie's gift is different than mine, like we talked before we got started, like totally are a techie and we're not, because you can run the show like this. But when they and see that they can actually complement each other and not be in competition with each other, is really
because that's
kingdom.
Really the life, like in the life, like females, you are competition.
Correct.
Right? Like they don't typically have relationships with other women, and to see that that's possible, and what a healthy relationship looks like, so that's so neat. And then they get thrown in with 6 girls.
That's what I always say, like, you got some boots on the ground learning around here.
So I asked you how they feel. How do you feel when you see that light come on for them?
I feel very honored that I get to have this opportunity. Sorry, it makes me kind of cry, because it really is.
We welcome tears around here.
Carrie is the
Usually
crier.
it's me.
It's usually
Okay.
Carrie.
Yeah.
But you go right ahead.
I just am grateful that I get to have a small piece in something that the Lord gets to watch him do his work. And it's not all sunshine and roses. Like, this is frontline work, and we are on the front lines of women's eternities, and it is literal life and death. Like, we are fighting for literal life. And so with that comes a lot of obstacles and needing to continually choose to walk in a victory mindset, because it's easy to get defeated. But I think when you ask how it makes me feel, it makes the hard days worth it when you see reconciliation of these mamas with their kids, where they might not have had a relationship with their kids for years. When you see reconciliation within families, or you get to see, getting something as simple as your driver's license and your social security card and a birth certificate. Like, these women come with no identifying documents because that's how their trafficker controlled them. And so when you start redeeming those small things that we take for granted, it's such a prophetic declaration over their life of what the Lord's continuing to restore in their identity. So
It kind of reminds me of Jeremiah 29:11, for I know the thoughts that I think towards you, said the Lord, thoughts of peace and not of evil, to give you an expected end.
yeah.
So just seeing that lets me know that regardless to what they've experienced, they still have a hope and a future.
Amen. They really do. And when they see that, and when they make that connection, like I said, I mean,
Unleashed.
Yeah, they are. Yeah.
That is so awesome. You said something that I don't think we actually consider, and we may not all the time consider that relationship between the mother and the children.
Right.
And how it is impacted because of the trafficking, because of the lifestyle. So can you kind of give us a little bit better understanding of that based on what you all experience?
I mean, a lot of times, I'm just going to lay it out there. By the time of the women wind up in our programs, something obviously very traumatic has happened. And oftentimes, these women's children have been taken, into better care or different options, whether it's with different family members or legally or whatever that would look like. Oftentimes, it's a result of the trafficking that they are put in that situation. And so when you work through those family dynamics of forgiveness and trust between a mother and a daughter, or whoever has custody of their children, or even at a point like not all the moms that are in our program, their children are still minors. So maybe they reconcile or reconnect with them when their kids become adults. And so then there's not all the barriers that are there where they can like reestablish more of a friendship and understanding with each other, as opposed to not having anything there. I definitely think that is one of the hardest part, I think, for our women to work through, that know that they have children that they don't have a relationship with.
And to see like so much fractured family dynamics,
Yeah.
and to see over time the healing that comes with like the whole generation, like,
Right.
that legacy is actually becoming, united and is healing there for
Yeah.
like that next generation.
Right.
And knowing that you get to see that,
Yeah.
I bet that is incredibly
It's powerful.
powerful.
And I think, there's not one, it affects all race, socioeconomic status, I'm sure, like that's not there isn't a common denominator in trafficking. Um, but in the cases that it is generational, where they did what they got into what they got into because of that's what they knew, or it's something that happened to them as a child. When you see that peace restored, it's not just that individual, but we have hope that it's for generations to come, And so we plant kingdom seeds and let the Lord water them and take them from there. So
That's so awesome. I had a question about intake. So we're going back a little bit, because I know I'm always interested more on the intake as, a frontline professional as well. So when someone is identified and we can call your program and we can reach out and see if you guys have a bed,
right,
wherever you are in the nation.
yeah,
Right. If you call Refuge for Women, a lot of them have mental health issues, as we
Correct.
know, and it's a huge barrier. And as well as addiction is huge in trafficking, which we've talked a lot about. So how do you guys usually handle that when we know maybe they need to go to detox, or maybe they need to get some mental illness stability or something like that? How do you guys navigate those waters when someone comes to your program?
Right. So I think it just depends on the locations. So like in North Texas, we have collaborative relationships with other organizations that do have immediate placing in beds available. And so we would refer the victim who's reached out for help to that organization. They would take them for 2 weeks to 30 days, stabilize them, and then, send them back into our long-term program if they're ready. But then like in Kentucky and our Pittsburgh location, they actually have an emergency house there. So our Kentucky location has 16 beds, and it's our crisis stabilization home. And so the idea is that they take any, a female 18 and older. That's our target age range and service of, we service females. And so they have 16 beds there that they can come 24/7. And then our Pittsburgh location, they're opening an emergency house up there. And so it's just, like I said, it depends on the different locations.
Sure.
If we don't have an emergency house, like our Vegas location, we just have collaborative relationships within the community.
Right.
And then once we get that application in, it is about, we respond to that application within 24 hours. But that starts the process. All of our applications are filtered through our national office, and it just depends on which location has an open bed at the time. If they need to stay local for legal reasons, or, if they have a pending court case or something, and we have an open bed locally, that's certainly an option for them. But like I said, if safety's a high concern, then we want to get them to another location. So we just try to get a really good feel for what the individual needs and what's best for her. Mm-hmm. And then we will move her through that process. And so we do an initial screening. We aren't super certified to provide quality services for the women who have more of an extreme mental illness. Mm-hmm. And I don't want to specify anything.
Right.
No,
we hear you.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And so then, and so we do those initial screenings and then pass it on to the local location that could be a good possible fit for that particular survivor. And then it could take up to 7 to 14 days for that girl to actually be placed in a home. And through that, it's just collaborative relationships. We have a relationship with Southwest Airlines, and we have tickets with them to help transport girls, where they need to go. And it's just an army
That is
Did
so
I answer
neat.
your question?
I
I feel like
love-
I rambled a
No,
lot.
you didn't. No, you didn't at all. No, I just that you did answer my question.
Okay.
And I love that you have so many different options, right? So your organization is able to, like, the whole airline thing, like, get girls where they need to be, the
Right.
best place for them. I think it's just awesome. I definitely didn't realize you had so many locations.
Yeah.
It's
It's, yep. It's like you said, I wouldn't have thought we started in Kentucky, but our sweet founder and his wife, started out there because there was an immediate need, and they started with an apartment complex and $1,100 and a mustard seed of faith. And then when they realized they developed a program that was producing results, they thought, okay, well, we'll see what it looks like to be a national organization, and it's been extremely successful.
Well, you've hit most of the top 5 states, right? On
Mm-hmm.
because
Yeah.
California,
Yep.
Texas, yeah,
Yeah.
Georgia, I think was high this last year. I don't know if you said Georgia, but
No, I didn't say Georgia.
So you need one in Georgia and Florida. I think
yes.
those are the only two.
Yep.
Based on the top 5 of the state.
Our goal is to have 21 houses by 2025, and so of those 7 locations, all of those locations will have 3 services: emergency, program, and transitional.
And you said New York too, right?
Not yet.
Oh, no.
Mm-mm. Pennsylvania, Pittsburgh.
Okay. I'm
Yeah.
making things up. Sorry,
You're good. You're good.
So for the listeners, can you name where you all are located again?
Yeah, babe. I
it was in the
confused
beginning of the
everybody.
podcast, but
Oh, you mean like all of our
all of
locations?
your locations.
Yeah. Okay. So North Texas, Texas Gulf Coast, Southern California, Las Vegas, Chicago, Kentucky, and Pittsburgh.
Got it. I will
got
no
it,
longer
Karen?
confuse anybody.
Okay, all right. Good. It pays to be a good listener, Carrie.
Yeah, it does.
Just call Southwest, hop on a plane, and just go where you want to.
Right. Got it. Well, listen, Abby, we thank you so much for sharing the information and giving us knowledge about Refuge for Women and all of the services that you all offer. We thank you that you allowed your passion to lead you to a place where you can impact so many lives. So once again, thank you for sharing with us on the podcast today. And again, can you give us the website where we can look up those purses and candles and everything else?
Yep, www.rfwntx.org.
All right. Again, thank you. And I'm Paula.
And I'm Carrie.
And if you would like to have any more information about Reclaim 611, you can email us at
support@reclaim611.org, or you can visit our website at www.reclaim611.org.
All right, guys. And don't forget to step into the fight. And until next time, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye. That was easy.
Hopefully.